Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Patreon podcast. This week, I wanted to talk about how one-track minds can be very dangerous. And this is inspired in part from, again, my bike rides, but just dealing with the squirrels on the trails that I go on. Squirrels are not smart. They are clever, but they're not smart. And when they set their mind to something, they either do it or they almost kill themselves in the process, from my experience. And usually it seems when a squirrel gets scared, they want to go to like their tree, or they want to go across the path, or unfortunately across the road sometimes. And it's just like, that's what they're going to do. And they're going to do that. And there's a lot of times where I'm riding my bike and on the left side of the trail, the squirrel sees me and gets scared and decides to run to its tree on the right side of the trail, which almost leads me to running it over. Thankfully, I've never actually hurt a squirrel while on my bike, but I've gotten very close a couple times because these little guys just know what they need to do when they do it, and they don't realize that there can be other options sometimes. And I think that that's actually a really salient point when it comes to us as creators as well, where we get so focused on a very specific goal that even the idea of any other options that could be available just seem ridiculous, and they don't get considered. I know when I have been working on projects this year, specifically stuff like Infinity Loop or some of the game development projects I worked on, I'm just like, I need to finish this. I need to sit down and I need to finish this. And I don't really consider the options that, it's not something that's has a deadline. Like it's not mandated that I finish this. It's just something that I want to finish. And I am, taking a bit of a hit to my mental and physical health because I'm trying to push myself through this project where it's just like, just take a break. It's totally valid to take a break. And I get that one track mind where I just want to hammer through something and I just want to finish it. And I don't see the bike coming down the trail at me at the same time because I'm just so focused on getting to the end, getting to my goal. I don't actually think about the process of how I need to get there. And I think that it's very important to have that level of objectivity. And I think we talked about objectivity recently as well, but just like having that ability to take a step back and look at the process as a whole, rather than just like the little bits and pieces that you have to do that are right in front of you. And having a one-track mind like that, while it can be very valuable when you need to focus and resolve a problem, it can also be very destructive, and it can be very bad in the long run when you're trying to plan greater goals. And when that landscape changes, like if you're working on a project and all of a sudden you have either a medical thing like I did with the kidney stones last year, or if something else comes up in your personal life, like you have to learn to be flexible with that kind of stuff, and you have to learn to bend. And not just focus on the goals at hand, but at the greater experience of life in general. So, yeah, that's kind of a shorter one, but it's something that I've been experiencing with those stupid squirrels lately, and I wanted to kind of put it into words before I forget, because it's really important to have that like distance between what you're doing and like the greater goals that you want to work on in the future. So just like keep that in mind. And if you're struggling against something, just look at the priorities that you have right now, and maybe they're not as necessary. Maybe working on that project right now is not as necessary as you think it is. And you can always set it aside and come back to it later, especially if there isn't a deadline or anything on it. I think that it's really valuable to have that level of distance from the work that you're doing. So thank you so much for being a Patreon supporter, and thank you so much for listening. I did that backwards, but here we are. I hope that you have a fantastic Friday and a wonderful weekend, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Be remarkable.